with the dark shirt on, we appreciate if you join the chamber. That would help us out. That helps pay the bills around here. You guys don't realize the county can't help us and the state will not help us. So we can take all the help we can get. All right, we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, sorry. They moved it on us. Rotate.
Rotate.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Okay, the minutes. 6 o'clock, call to order. Oh, okay.
Is that my good size Julie?
Yeah. We're gonna pass the minutes on. Good. Just because we have so many people. Anyway, we'll do it next year. Okay, treasurer's report, John B. Well,
There's no treasurer's report.
okay, our treasurer is absent, so we're sorry about that. Okay, and we're going, I can tell you this, we're going to the bank, we're switching banks. Anyway, it don't matter. Okay. The budget, we went over there at our board meeting. It's doing good. Okay. Christmas parade. That's what? I think we got it handled. Okay, so that was under treasurers. John, talk.
I think you covered everything. We're all good. Go home. Christmas parade's coming up. There's been some debating on where we're starting. We are going to start at the rest area. I think I screwed up and said museum, but it is going to be the rest area for those of you that are going to participate in the Christmas parade. We're going to go kind of the same route we did last year. We're going to go across the block, a couple blocks over here, sneak across the road. Walker's not a cop anymore, so we don't have to worry about him pulling us over. Go around the neighborhood over here, and we're going to end up out at the county park, where we are going to have, did we decide chili dogs?
Yep.
Chili dogs, coffee, hot cocoa, and
Cookies.
cookies, and Christmas Carol and all that stuff. Chris is going to lead everybody into the Christmas carols. Oh.
Yeah. That'd be this guy over here.
Yeah. Yes. And what else? So whoever's coming, bring some chairs. We need some chairs.
Yeah, bring your chairs. We have some picnic tables, but bring a chair if you want to, sing around, and we're gonna have fire. You bring some firewood.
You're gonna build a fire like you did out at the park last time with that 5 gallons of diesel fuel.
Oh, by the way, if you're new to our chamber meetings, as you can tell, we really don't care. So if you got something to say about what we're talking about, just hold your hand up, because we don't ask you to wait till next month. We like to get it off your chest, okay? Go ahead.
Except for you. Moving on.
Yeah.
Start time and rest area, please.
Dark.
Dark.
It's very simple. Dark.
But I know he didn't say it. Did you say it? No.
Harley, you're so right about her.
Blonde before she was gray.
It's hard to have a lighted Christmas parade when the sun's still up.
Exactly.
So you can tailgate party until 3 o'clock in the afternoon until we leave. I don't care. But we're going in the dark.
This is the sun. It's going down.
All
I'm out
right.
of crayons, so.
This is what I have to say.
Any other questions about the parade? Same as last year. Everybody shows up, put lights on anything you want. We don't care. Okay.
I know. I went to get some water at Bouse RV, and they're already working on their parade. So, where's our RV owners? I seen him walk in. There he is. What do you got going on back there? Come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always good.
Okay. President's report. That's me. Nance Franken, she's over here. She's gonna redo our murals over on the old tank site, the memorial site. Just to let you know, she's gonna redo them, try to get them back, some of them back to original. Part of it's gonna be new. And if she needs any money, just so keep you guys up, we're gonna pay for all the funding, and she's volunteering to do the murals. And what time is she going? I don't know what time she's gonna do it.
The metal stanchions you got that you put on the side of the rest area for the signs, we still need a couple of them over on that other side.
We're gonna have to get with Barry on that and see if.
Give them a week, someone will run over those and they'll all be gone.
You got a question for Nance?
No, I got an answer.
An answer?
Yeah. The
Go ahead.
sundown is about 5:45 on the 9th.
Okay. 5:45. You got that?
I got that.
Nance, go ahead. Say anything you want.
I just,
Stand up. You can't hear you.
I spend a lot of time, I spend a lot of time going back and forth Phoenix, Wickenburg. When you go into Wickenburg, there's beautiful murals that kind of dictate or give a feeling to what the town wants when you can't hear me?
No.
Okay.
That's all she's got, guys.
When you go into Wickenburg, when you come into town, there's murals, and it kind of gives you a feeling of charm and what the town wants to represent as who they are. Well, when you come in through Bouse, thanks to all of you for cleaning it up, it would be nice to have some thought, if it's even an option, to maybe have a billboard or some type of a sign made out of wood that's there as you come in, and then maybe on the other side of what we are all about in Bouse, only to detract the eye from the other stuff that you start to see when you come into town.
So they're all gonna be painted on that side. Huh?
So, I mean, it's just a thought, and I just feel like with this wonderful group of residents here that we can
Grab that chair and sit in, Mark.
make it better.
Oh, there's one there. There's two there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's part of, thank you, Dan. That's part of our cleanup campaign this year. We're trying to clean up Bouse, so people drive down Highway 72 and say, hey, what a nice little town, instead of what a pigsty. So work on your neighbors on that. Okay, now code enforcement, I got good news tonight. We're finally gonna get Ace's place cleaned up on Joshua. Wednesday or Thursday. It took over 6 years. I have been working on it, and they were working on it before my time. So now it's supposed to be getting done Wednesday or Thursday. So let's cross your fingers and hope nobody swallows up all the county workers. So it does get done this time. Okay, our event.
It does look like they're doing a lot of, well, not a lot, but the ANC's cleaning up a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, and a lot of that stuff's gone by the ANC also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we have our Desert Bash coming up, March 2nd. And just, I wanted to ask, is there anybody from the VFW or the American Legion here that is like in control of them? Anybody? Nobody? I just want to ask them if they would not have their own poker run on the same time and day that our poker run is for the town. Wouldn't it make nice sense? But every year they seem to do it. Then we have ribbons that are interchanged, and it's not always good.
The good news is, this year we changed ours to the first Saturday in May, and
Okay.
they always are on the
Well, hopefully she's.
It's supposed to be March 16th this year, the run for March.
Yeah.
Okay, ours is the 2nd, so hopefully.
And we're trying to arrange it to the weekend after because we actually have an event in Sloan on the 16th.
All right.
Make it in July.
Okay, John Bennett?
Swap meet report?
Yep.
Okay, just confirming. So we got 2 swap meets since the last meeting. The last one in November on the 17th. We brought in $465. We had 24 vendors, 28 sites, and some of those vendors are double sites. And that's not in counting the vegetable vendor. And then we had one on December 1st, $385. And we had 22 vendors, with 26 sites, rented plus the vegetables.
Very good. Thank you. We're getting along good this year.
Yep.
And in addition, we had $400 sales in merchandise and rifle tickets, raffle tickets.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Gun and t-shirt sales. All right. Okay. Museum report, Carolyn or Krista, whatever, which one? Whatever one's louder.
Now that you're a member, you can talk.
Need louder.
Loud as you can.
$82 in donations, $144 in sales, $40 so far in gun raffle sales, and so far we have 15 groups, a total of 35 people who signed up for the December tour, and 15 groups, a total of 28 people so far signed up for the February tour.
Hey, good.
Good. Good. Good.
Okay, so here's when my husband and I kind of hashed up and we wanted to run this by you all. First of all, is there a budget for Christmas decorations inside the museum? A lot of the decorations were pretty old and ratty and look very sad. We have quite a few lights and a few garlands, but nothing really for inside. Chris and I bought a couple of trees, but what we wanted to know is there a budget?
No.
You can spend as much as you want.
What is it that you want? How much?
I don't know. I don't know if there was a budget at all.
Well, there is a budget for the museum, but since our treasurer is not feeling good tonight, but we can get back to you on that, and then we'll get you some money or reimburse you whatever you buy.
Great. We had an idea for in the Bouse, the Camp Bouse room, of having a 1940s themed tree. And I spoke with Mr. Martin about maybe having the kids help out with making garlands, popcorn garlands, and paper decorations, because that was kind of what we did back then. And Mr. Martin said that the school is on board for that, and we were wondering if that would be okay.
That sounds great.
Okay?
Maybe let the kids come down and do it.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
All right, so that's awesome.
I have some fruit skirts that I'm gonna donate and some decorations.
Perfect.
I'll bring them.
Awesome. Also, in the office, we found 2 keep off tank signs. I didn't know if those were supposed to be out.
What signs?
They're red signs that say keep off
Oh,
tanks.
Oh,
They were hidden in the office in a box, and I didn't know if they were supposed to be out.
we'll talk to the military guy on that, John Bennett. Do you need those?
Were they newer signs or old ones that have been?
They were new.
Oh.
Well, just give them to John. We'll get them. We'll put them up.
Okay. And then there was also a sign that was broken. All right,
I just want to say, for the town cleanup campaign, we get a lot of visitors into the museum.
and I want to thank all those, I don't know if you're in here, that went to the museum today and helped decorate. I want to thank those people that showed up. That was great.
I'm sorry I missed it.
It wasn't invitation only. It's a group. I'll let you know. It's a group that goes out to the old shooting range and they decorate it. Well, now that it's for sale, they asked me, "Hey, is it for sale? Is it sold?" I says, "I don't know." But I says, instead of putting your hard work in decorating that, why don't you go to the museum and do it? And they said, "Okay." And they called me this morning and says, "Hey, we're going to do the museum." I says, "Okay." And they're done. Okay? That's how it got done. Things get handled by volunteers around here. And that's all we can ask for. Yes, Mr.
One other thing related to the museum, we talked about it last year, is that we don't have a sign on the road that says Bouse Museum. There's one that points to the county park.
Right.
There's nothing on the road, except for our little sign at the rest area. So I don't know if we need to talk to the,
State will not do it. We are going to have to buy it.
but what about the county?
What if we get one of those flipper signs and you sit out there and
The brown signs that they use for any kind of,
We're going to,
hey, I see a sign lady.
go ahead.
Did we do the Christmas lights in the flag? On the flagpole? No, we always do.
Oh. All right. That Jeff will have to get on the internet and find the appropriate sign, and we're just going to have to order it and buy one to make it look like it's a real state sign, and we'll just do it on Sunday. Hey, that's how it's going to have to get done, because we've asked and asked the state, and they will not give us a museum sign.
but do you have to have permission like from the road department?
You're talking to Harley.
I'll get permission for you.
Yeah.
It'll be on our side of the road. This is our country. Don't forget that. BLM doesn't own it. The state don't own it. This is our country. So we're going to do it. Yes, Walker.
The county yard makes those signs. The official, like the county, they make those signs. And I'm pretty sure if we approach them and say, "Hey, how much would be one of those be?" They'll tell us and we can do it.
Well, I can ask.
Does anybody know what kind of number that is?
Deuce, I have a question. Do you think the county will, if we pay for the sign and the pole, will they get it for us? We'll buy the cement.
We don't know till it's
I made a note. I'm not gonna tell you an answer because it's on, if it's on the ADOT right of way, they're gonna have they have governance over it. But I'm gonna let you know when I come up about the no engine brake signs, and I'll ask you about this one and see if there's something.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and along with that though, there's no street sign that dictates that Main Street goes that way up to the museum.
That's a county.
Yeah.
That's county.
That's county.
They can take the stop sign that used to be in front of the bar that's been hit again.
We have a pole.
It's been hit 3 times in 3 months.
All right.
If you stop hitting it, John.
Yes.
I have a does anybody know what something like that would cost?
No, but we'll find out, and we'll get her done.
Well, I was gonna help.
Yeah. Okay. We appreciate it. Keep coming to the meetings. We like that already. All right, Mr. Martin. It's your turn.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Schools, my name is Paul Martin, by the way, Mr. Martin, as most of you know. 54 students. Just in the time I wrote this article, which is a little ahead of schedule, before you get it, 4 more have arrived, with another 3 coming.
That's a record, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I projected 55 by Christmas during the summer months. We might see 60 by the end of the academic year. That's a good thing. You build it, they will come. I just haven't built it yet, but we're trying.
Where are you gonna put them?
Yeah, I don't know. Come to you. We've been awarded an APS tree grant for 25 more trees for our school, free of charge.
Nice.
So I will be looking to all of you to participate with my shovels and maybe a barbecue or something. So
Absolutely.
I'll get with these boys, and they're pretty good on organizing, so we'll wait till I get the trees.
As long as they're small trees, we can help, right, guys? Called seedlings.
Yeah. We had some events since I last saw you. The Halloween Carnival was a huge success. Thank you for everyone that came by, donated cakes, and your money. I appreciate that. I will take your money, by the way, just so you know. And I have been, and I appreciate that. Veterans Day Luncheon was a huge success. Okay, thank you to your organization and my organization teaming up. We had over 100 people between students, veterans. I mean, we were close to having the fire marshal there and shutting me down, I think, this year. So a lot of good comments, a lot of donations, and a lot of people left very happy, and that makes me happy as a veteran as well. So thank you. Appreciate that. And I know we talked last month about John's involvement with Phoenix Children and his father as well, but thank you for that. We partake in some of those proceeds for our library, and it was a great time, good organization for my teachers, my staff, and myself, and we're on board next year as well. That was a good time. That was good people too. Yeah. Upcoming events, VFW Christmas event on Saturday, December 6th.
9th.
The 9th, yes, the 9th. That's a Saturday. It's already coming fast. It was a long day today. That's this coming Saturday, 2 o'clock, correct? 2 o'clock. They'll be there a little early to set up, and obviously we're supplying the building and the kids, and you're doing the rest, the hard part, right? So thank you to everyone that's donated presents and things to, you know, these children, as we know, and not just in this area, but everywhere, they don't choose who raises them, what family they're part of. It's our responsibility, I think, as a community to make sure that we support them and we keep them on the right track. And I'm always amazed when I come here, and I say this is the third month I've come. I haven't quit on you yet. So. Amazing at the giving that this community has given myself, my organization, and the school. You know, people don't think of a school as a business, but really, you know, it is a business. We're in the business of educating children so that they become good citizens, right? And they take care of us at some point too. That's fingers crossed. So, shout out to community members. Every month I come here, I have individuals that are either in this room or outside this building that are helping me. They see me on the weekends and they just pull in and just get out the tools and help me. I'm just amazed. The text messages I receive from people. Good job today. I won't point her out. Thank you for the decorations out there. Yes, yes, she's back there. That comes out of my wife and my pocket. You know, those kids don't get to see things like that at a school or at home, and I thought that was important this weekend. So that's just a small sliver of event there. Harley, Dean, and Carl for assisting projects, adding swings, and almost completed outdoor sand-based volleyball area. So thank you to you guys. And you're always a phone call away with equipment or advice. Sometimes I don't want it from Harley, but I take it anyway. That's a whole nother speech. Yes, I'm learning that, yes. Robert and his wife Robin for donating art supplies and turkeys. We raffled off turkeys for needy families, the students, and one of my staff members as well. So that was, and I don't see him here, so thank you. And we appreciate everyone that's come back to our school to be part of what we are building for our students, staff, and community. It's been a long time, I think, and a long time coming to get you back into this school. I won't live here until that's completed. You have my word. You need to be part of our school. It's part of your community. You need to come back to us. The doors are open. No one will say no. Nobody. Even sit down and have lunch with our kids, please. I'm sorry about what's happened in the past. We're making it right. Lastly, Mr. George Null right here. This guy came by my office, incredibly generous donation. And I'm not going to say the amount, but it was staggering. It's enough to fill an entire school field trip for the Arizona Science Museum and finish my library, which we were desperately needing books across the board, especially for the older kids. Thank you, sir. My new banker right there. I don't need the county. I got this guy here in finance. He'll get me out of debt in no time, I'm sure. You're all part of our school, and we appreciate all the assistance and donations that have come our way. Go Bulldogs. Be a part of it. Come see me. The doors are open, please.
Hey, do you need board members for the school board? I know elections are getting close, no?
Yeah,
Are you filled?
we'll have one. This is public record, so this isn't anything that you all can find out anyway. It's not confidential, obviously. So one will be coming up next year, and then 2 more the following year, is my understanding.
Should be 2 and 2. 2 years between them, should be, unless there's something.
No, because one filled in for one that left early, Mr. Duke. So that was, yeah, so that's why there's a small gap in between. So 1 next year, and then 2 the following year.
Okay, and how about teacher's aid? Did you get that all
I
figured
did
out?
not.
You remember
This is great. So we had an influx of Spanish-speaking students, which we were not quite prepared for, but we're happy to have them. Wonderful families, but that takes a bilingual person. I have 2 on staff, but one is my business manager, one is a para that helps. That's a lot on her. I'm looking, I found the money for 1 more part-time bilingual paraprofessional. So if you know of anybody, I haven't put out in the public yet, but I'm starting to, or will be, let me know. We need to provide those kids with a high level of service as we do our own kids as well. They're part of our community now, from the door manufacturer, the farms, everything like that. So, and the families have been wonderful. Nothing but positives coming from me and those families. And we'll help those kids along. We'll get them prepared.
Very nice.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, speaking of elections, ours are coming up in January. So just to let you guys know, be here for that if you can. All right.
Step up if you want to.
What's that?
Paid member to vote.
Yes, and you need to be a paid member to vote. So it's only going to cost you $10. Only $10. I mean, yeah, we're gonna start that new this year. We're gonna make some money. Anybody wants to be nominated? All you gotta do is show up. What's up? Go ahead.
Well, I have a couple announcements when that comes up.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
We just did it right now. Announcements.
Okay. First of all, I made some copies, but for the houses that have lights already, to drive around at night and take a look, there's some addresses right there. The other one is today, many of us from 41 and a couple people from town, we went to the court, and this is regarding Jackson Glen.
Well, that was today.
And, yes, and we, the first one was pre-trial, and it was at 1:30, and we sat through that, and it really wasn't much, but the pre-trial is postponed, or it's gonna be continued rather, until January 8th at 9 o'clock. So, and that one, that was on drug paraphernalia. And the next 3 were arraignments, and they had bonds on them, and the first one was a $10,000 bond, and that there were victims in that case. And then the second one also was a $5,000 bond, and there's victims in that case. And the third one, I didn't catch what it was exactly. There was, the third one was about the law enforcement and that he had resisted arrest, and it was for shoplifting. All out here, as far as I know, and except for the very, anyways. And the second one is 7 years, possible. And the third one was 7 years, and the last one was 3.5 years, maximum jail time. But not jail, prison. When they start looking at his record, he has many things against him now.
We'll be out in a month.
He has not been convicted yet, that's correct. Yeah, thanks.
Did they have lawyers?
He does have yes,
Cause the county don't have any more defense lawyers.
as of when? As of when?
I mean, they at the meeting.
You want me to explain it, but that's not true.
They don't, he does have an attorney, yes, yes, and it's a public defender. The one thing that I found really interesting at the very end, he got angered and he spoke up and he shouldn't have. And he said, the judge made a comment about all of us sitting in the gallery. There was a lot of us. And he spoke up and he says, none of these people are the victims of my cases. In other words, what he really said was that he victimized people. So, you know, and that really wasn't true. The one person there was one of the victims in it. So, people he kind of messed up right there. But and those cases right there, the last three, they're all going to be heard again, in January 8th in the morning, so.
All right.
But the people that went, I just really thank you because we sat there from 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock, so.
But it helped.
Yes.
It made a difference. And
Good.
Tony Rogers came out and said it makes a difference. So if we want this to stop, we need to show up. Because
Maybe
he
do more
was-
Facebook posting when this kind of stuff goes on.
He was cool and collected the whole time until he realized we were all there, and that we were all there for him. And that was the first time through that whole 3 hours that we saw him crack, and he cracked big time.
Yeah.
Good.
So it does make a difference. It showed him, we're done.
Yeah.
And his cool and collected, I know the law and I'm gonna work the system, he wasn't prepared for that today. So January 8th at 9 o'clock, we'll make sure that there's supposed to go out, but please, any of you that are tired of this going on in Bouse, try and show up to court. It is quite entertaining, so you won't be bored.
Either that or just shoot him and save us the time in court. Okay. Any other? Yes, ma'am, in the back.
So I'm Janelle Carberry, if you guys don't know me, and I'm the new manager at the Bouse and Centennial Library. Just wanna have everyone stop in and say hi if they wish to. Library's open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4. I wanna let everybody know that if they need a, food handler's card, yes, thank you, food handler's card, we can do the test at the library. We have packets. If you are a volunteer doing it for like the Booster Hall or any other place, they're free, they're the yellow card. If you do it for a business, because your employer needs it, that's the blue card, and they're $15. But we do have a test, you just come in, let us know you need it, and we'll help you get that done. And we are always looking for volunteers, if anybody wants to come in and just help shelve books, so just come in and say hi, help out if you want to. We got lots of DVDs, lots of books, so stop in and say hi.
Thank you. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Deuce? Oh, wait, sorry. Deuce, sit back down. Go ahead.
I know better, I never got up.
Okay, I'm here because I live on Joshua. And I'm here because of my neighbors and all of us. When I come back, I just got in. And, what I was told at the beginning of the door factory was they were going to use 72, not Joshua. Because Joshua, that street isn't qualified to haul that many trucks. Well, when I got in, from last year to this year, they are just flying up and down Joshua. So everybody's upset. The road is getting really bad.
stop them.
Yeah, I've been in it for 43 years, ma'am. And that is the legal way to come from Quartzsite. You can't come over the bridge because that bridge is weighted. And it's already posted. But Joshua is the thoroughfare from Quartzsite to Highway 72, no matter what. All the bread trucks go down there, all the soda trucks go through there, all the beer trucks go through there. Anybody that's coming to Roadrunner, to the bars, to the VFW, they all use it. I don't know what, I never heard that wasn't gonna happen when all this started.
Well, see, we were always told those heavy trucks, especially remember when the rock crushing plant was gonna go in there? I've been here 23 years. It was cotton, where the cotton gin was.
Right, I know that.
Hey, that was big, one of the big fights was those heavy gravel trucks on Joshua, because it's not a qualified road for heavy semi-traffic.
Is there a weight limit posted on the road?
No, there's
Because
not.
it's kind of like a rural road, it's not a thoroughfare.
We had that problem with 42E, but there's a weight limit sign, and that was what protected our road.
There's nobody
So
there.
is there any way someone can kind of check into it for the people and whether yay or nay?
How are they gonna get here?
72.
How do they get here from the 10 freeway, ma'am?
Why can't they come through 72?
They're gonna have to either come all the way to 95,
Go up that way, can't they?
where? But not to the 10 freeway, it's way out of your way. I'm sorry, I'm standing up for the trucker because Vicksburg is out of the way. From California to Vicksburg, you're talking about 50 miles out of the way.
They could come up to 95.
Yeah, you could ask them. You know, we can ask Bob maybe to do something, but I can't guarantee it. But we
I
can
think
ask
you're probably
Bob.
seeing heavy traffic because of the construction. That probably will calm down
There
over
should be weight limits on that road.
There should be weight limit on Highway 72, but that ain't helping 72 either. It is what, you know,
It's always been the truck traffic. That's where, and we were
Yeah.
told that that's what they were gonna do.
who told you that?
Well, when that, everybody that was working, when it was first coming in.
I never heard, and I've been here for 16 years and I've been here for 6. I'm just saying, I'm not defending you or going against you. I just said, I've never heard anybody say we're not gonna use Joshua.
That's okay, then we just tell them that there's nothing they can do about it.
Well, we can talk to Bob. He's a really nice guy and maybe he understand, maybe he can get some diverted to 95 and come around that way.
Because there's a lot of people on there that, and they're really unhappy, everybody is.
Yeah. All we can do is ask. Yeah. No, that's a county road. It's
I'd
not
like you to
DOT.
have all the semis taken off 72.
So Harley, does that mean you're going to ask him, thank you?
What's that?
That means you volunteered to ask him, I heard you
Oh
say
yeah.
that?
I'll ask him. I had lunch with him the other day.
Yes, thank you. Ask him to divert traffic down 41 to 72.
It ain't gonna happen, but I'll ask. I just,
We'll see you next month.
yeah.
Who's the senator for this area?
Big Deuce is up.
Yeah, Deuce, you're up. All right. Maybe you can clear that one question about real quick
Well,
before you
okay.
introduce about the.
Yeah, I've got a couple things. I'm just gonna briefly kid on some spots I talked about last time, updates on things. And not to contradict you, but I think there may be a misunderstanding on on the memory there, because what I remember, there was a lot of conversation about concern for employees and deliveries for the garage door manufacturer using, I think it was 41E or 42E, that's when he was applying for a zoning change on the location over at 41E. He is not located there. He's located on Joshua. He did not have to ask for a zoning change to locate there. So there was never a conversation, at least that I was part of, that had any conversation about truck traffic or any traffic. So that's news to me. And if Harley's willing to reach out to Bob, I think that's great. I'm sure he'll at least respond and you'll hear from him. I don't know if you know, but the gentleman who has built that company is not somebody from out of the area just coming here to take money and run. He's moved here. He wants to live here and be part of the community. So he's very open to talking to people when they have concerns. So, but I think that's the confusion. There was a lot of conversation about traffic on the original location. I was never part of any conversation on traffic for this one. The things I said I would go over real quick, just so I can kind of update you. There's been a request for having signs posted at the ends of Bouse for no engine brakes, so we can have it more quiet. We're working on that. I met with ADOT, and what they've told me we have to do as a county is we're gonna have to adopt an ordinance, basically making it illegal to use engine brakes in that stretch of road. And then once we've done that, we can go to ADOT for an encroachment permit. So we've now learned the process to get that done, and we're working to get the ordinance done so it can come before the board. Harley took all the good stuff. Joshua is gonna be demoed and abated this week. So that's good news. The Book Nook, they're looking at the second week in December to start on the foundation. So we're probably not gonna get it done as fast as we were hoping, but if anybody's doing any construction or know anybody who's doing any construction, very little is getting done as fast as we'd like it to, but we're moving forward on that. I got a call from the railroad today, and I'm not happy about this, and I politely let them know I was very concerned that they had done this again, but the contractor has pulled off for another emergency on the East Coast, so they're pushing the Bouse crossing off another month. Again, that's not in our jurisdiction to tell them what they have to do, but I continue to try and work with them. The stuff's here, they just need to get the contractor here to get it done. The Bouse Park plan is on schedule to be completed and in our hands, and once it's in our hands, we'll be reviewing it with having people review it. If you remember, we got a grant from the state for like $290,000 to do the planning. They took every bit of the year they said they were gonna need. But they plan on having that ready for us on the 15th, so we can start moving that project forward. As far as cleanup, the AC Mercantile, we have been working with the owner for compliance, and I think you've all seen they've made some progress. We'd like it to be faster, but they're making progress, so we continue to work with them on that. And I made some notes here about the museum sign, and Harley's gonna talk to Bob about the truck traffic. I don't want to spend too much time on this, and I'm glad to come back and spend way more time if you want on all these issues, but I did bring somebody, and I think that's why a lot of you are here, that wants to talk to you tonight. So, but the one thing I just want to let you know is, because I love the way rumors get spun, it is true that on Thursday last week, the board took an action to close the public defender's office as of December 31st. I will tell you there are 3 other counties in the state our size that have been operating without a public defender's office for some time. The public defender's office is actually under the jurisdiction of the courts. So we have taken the step to eliminate the public defender's office and the county employees there. Now, our employees aren't losing their jobs. They have opportunities to transfer. We made sure of that, but public defenders are always provided to a defendant that can't afford an attorney, whether that's through the public defender's office or whether they contract that out to a private attorney. We have to provide the service. So we've always used contracted attorneys. That is not changing. We've had attorneys on staff, and we've had attorneys that get the conflicts. It will just all be now outside attorneys, but they will work through the courts at an hourly rate that is set by the courts. They can't just take what they want. So that move has been made, and again, that could be talked about longer, but I just want to assure everybody that people's rights are not being violated, and any defendant that can't afford an attorney will be provided an attorney, as we are required to do. So that was my list, and with that, I know there's been a lot of conversation, questions. I get calls once in a while. I read some things on Facebook or the Bouse Bugle once in a while, questioning what's happening with the rare earth mine that we were talking about. It's been probably 1.5 years or 2 years, I think, since we've really had a conversation. This project was brought to our attention a few years ago, maybe 4 now. They've been out here a couple of times to have some community presentations out on the site, and but that hasn't happened for a while, so I've heard a lot of different rumors. So I reached out to Mel Sanderson, who is she's a member of the board for American Rare Earth Mine, and she is also the spokesperson for the organization. I think some of you have seen her on YouTube. She's kind of a celebrity there. I did have a chance to visit with her today. I've only met her a couple of times. We talked on the phone a couple of times making these arrangements. But I learned tonight that on the way here, she actually, before she got into the mining industry, she had a career in the State Department. and has been all over the world representing the United States of America in a number of different capacities. So she's really somebody on the side if you just want to talk to her. She's very interesting with a lot of different experiences. But she has been in the mining industry now, and you said 15 with the one company, and I'm guessing another 5, so somewhere around 20?
Yeah.
20 years. So she knows her stuff, but she is here. She's going to tell you where things are with their project and other projects, and then she said she would be one to take some questions. So Mel, thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks for inviting me, Deuce.
Thanks.
So, I know that there's some familiar faces in this room that have been party to some of our previous discussions, but there's a lot of people that I think have not. So, just really quickly, who is this company? So, the company is American Rare Earths. It is a joint Australian-American company. The primary investors are from Australia. We would love to have American investors. They haven't taken a lot of interest in us yet. I'm going to come back to that. And we have 3 projects that we are looking at. One is in New Mexico, one is right here, and the other one is up in Halleck Creek, Wyoming. And we've been actively working the geology here and in Halleck Creek, Wyoming. So this has been, I have to say, a discouraging year, but a year with a lot of changes too. And both of those factors affect the status of the project here and the status of the project in Wyoming. So there's 2 things that strangle a project. The first is access to money, and the second is permitting. I guess we're lucky because so far we don't have to worry about permitting because we're being strangled by money. The most disappointing thing that happened this year was basically the collapse of the market, and everybody here knows that you've all watched the same news that I do. Our company lost 50% of its value in the share sell-offs earlier this year. We went from a market cap of $80 million to $35 million, and due to the uncertainties of the world, after all, we have another war underway, we have inflation, we have all kinds of complicated situations, and people are hiding their money under the bed. I don't blame them. That's where I keep my money too.
Where do you live?
I particularly ain't telling you. So that's been a real devastating kind of an issue for us. And we, like every other junior miner in this country, had been hoping for some relief from Washington because our politicians have an unprecedented level of agreement around this question of rare earth because it's recognized as important from 2 different aspects. The first of which is economic transformation. All of those electric vehicles, wind turbines, solar panels, all of that stuff, including my lovely new iPhone, is stuffed full of 2 kinds of rare earth in particular. They're called neodymium and praseodymium. I'm really happy to tell you that your deposit here has a lot of those. Your deposit here also has a key element for the American military, which is called scandium. A lot harder to find scandium than it is to find the first 2 that I mentioned. So that's a big asset for La Paz. Howsoever, the second use for these materials is military. And this is great. We have a huge military industrial complex in our state that is contributing mightily to our national defense and keeping America secure. So these are the 2 factors which have fed together in our divided world of politics to unite these politicians in saying that, yeah, these kinds of projects on rare earths matter. And they've passed laws, including a couple mandating the companies like General Motors and Ford, by the year 2030, must domestically source the inputs for the electric vehicles. Why did they write that law? Because right this minute, as I'm standing here in front of you, we depend 90% on China for these crucial rare earth materials. How many people in this room, raise your hand, think that China's a friend of ours and is likely to want to continue to give us the things that we need for our national defense and for our economic well-being? Yeah, no hands. I wouldn't have mine up in the air either. So there's an urgency to this, but there's an irony to this too. Here comes the irony. Congress passes this incredible piece of legislation providing a level of government funding that has not been seen since World War II to support the growth of a rare earth supply chain in America. It's called the Inflation Reduction Act. It has nothing to do with inflation as far as I can tell, but that's where the money comes from, the IRA. So all the we junior miners got really excited, even though there was this market crash going on, and we said, but the IRA and the politicians, they've said these things, there must be money to help us. If we could at least get funding from Washington to be kind of a base that would reassure investors that these projects are real, that the demand is real, that the intentionality is real, it could be a game changer. Remember I said this has been a year of disappointments. So disappointment number one was the market crash. Disappointment number two was Washington. And this is my personal pet peeve. They are giving our taxpayer money to foreign countries to build their mining industries and then sell the stuff back to us. That really gripes me. It gripes me twice as much because, yeah, I did used to work for the government, and it gripes me twice as much because of that. So that's been a big disappointment. Now, I don't want to make it sound like Washington isn't doing anything at all to be helpful in this regard. They are. In our country, we have one company that currently is producing rare earth materials. It's called MP Materials. They have a big mine in California. That mine has a long history. It's had several different incarnations. It's been operating for around a total of 70 years, 50 of those producing rare earth.
Mountain Pass.
They received funding from Washington to build a processing facility to transform their raw materials into the finished product that the battery manufacturers need in order to make all that equipment. That's great. They also gave money to an Australian company named Lynas. And outside of China, Lynas is the world's largest rare earth producing company. So Lynas is building 2 processing plants in Texas, which I despise, but nonetheless, they're building processing plants. That's key because we need finished materials. Great. But you don't get finished materials if you don't mine the rocks. That's a problem. So those are the 2 big disappointments for the company, in fact, is for the industry in 2023. And it's a real setback because we don't have a mining industry in this country. We have some scattered mining companies. We need an industry if we're going to compete with China. It's that simple. So I said this was also a year of change. The folks in this room that have seen me before remember Marty Weems. Marty was the president for North America of American Rare Earths subsidiary known as Western Rare Earths. Well, Marty has moved into the agricultural industry, and he's now CEO of this fascinating company, I have to say, that has a miraculous product. You spread it on worthless clay soil and it begins to grow things. It's incredible. So I'm happy for Marty. He's growing something. But his departure in December was unexpected to us. So yours truly was volunteered to be president. So I was president of the company from January until I stepped down October 1st due to my knee surgery. And that's how I had this personal experience of these disappointments, because I was spending a lot of time in New York talking to investors who were very nice to me but didn't give me any money, and to politicians in Washington who were very nice to me, but didn't give me any money. So we hired an American staff. That's great. Except until May, I thought we were going to have our headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona. The company headquarters is in Denver, Colorado. And that is where our new CEO, CFO, and in-house counsel and investment relations specialist will all be found. I have no intention of leaving Arizona. I will continue to be found in Phoenix. Thank you very much. Somebody has to defend La Paz. So the status of our project here in La Paz comes down to geology. You have the neodymium and the praseodymium, and very importantly, you have the scandium. However, the geology here is unfortunately very complicated. So the materials that we need to access are broken up in various locations in the ground. The geology in Wyoming is like a miracle from God. The deposit runs consistent from the surface to 500 meters deep. We're pulling drills out of the ground all the time. It's like the mother lode. And they've got the neodymium and the praseodymium too. Also, matters very much in mining. The grades are higher in Wyoming, which means there's more likelihood that we can make money off of it fast. As a consequence of the geology, number one, and number two, that in Wyoming, we have a lot of land that is on state land and private land. So we don't need the BLM to make a start. Also very important. So what the current situation is, Halleck Creek is what we're going to try to work on first, but in a very small way. We are planning, if we can find some money next year, to start in 2025 a small test strip mine. And what that means is we will identify a patch, preferably on private land, but if not on state land, of high value geology, and we will build something small and narrow. We will harvest the rock from that patch, and then we will restore that land. We are hoping, again, if we can find the money, to build a processing facility so that we can process it for ourselves and not have to depend on others and pay that extra money. So for La Paz, what this means is we're probably looking at a timeline right now of somewhere between 4 to 5 years to come and do the same things here. That's the honest to God truth. And that's if we can get our claws on some money next year, and we're going to try to milk it out of Australia. Because Americans have unfortunately made it clear that despite saying that these things matter, they're not willing to put the checkbook on the table to support it. And that is true from the politicians to the average person. So let me stop there. Oh, no, let me say one more thing. In Halleck Creek, we are working closely with the University of Wyoming and the two communities that are nearest to us, which are Laramie and Wheatland. And what we're doing there is we're building an environmental action plan, and we're building an economic development plan. So we would then be doing the exact same thing here, because again, the issues are remarkably similar. What matters most in Arizona? Water. Ironically, the part of Wyoming that we're in, what matters most? Water. We're going to learn a lot about building an appropriate and sustainable water management plan that does not steal people's groundwater. Because believe me, Wyoming people, they got guns too. And you go around stealing their water, they're going to find you. So we understand this. And to be able to protect the animals and to work out the restoration plans. So although it's going to take us longer to get here, when we do get here, we're going to be smarter and faster. So that's the upside. Actually begin construction of a mine. then the BLM process is kicked off at that point. And the company has a responsibility to file a whole succession of documents up to and including the environmental impact assessment study. So all of that becomes public knowledge that you can access through the BLM website, and that's when BLM begins a series of public meetings for public input to look at those plans. But it only begins once the company has put in the request. And then the second step is we have to submit all the documents, which the BLM then makes public. So for La Paz, we would be looking at 4 or 5 years if we're successful in getting the money.
Get the lady in the back.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. And then I'll come to the man waving his hat.
And then
I'd
this,
like to see a show of hands in this room of anybody who feels positive about what they just heard and positive about what might happen if this goes through. People in favor, please raise your hand.
We don't know anything. Are you in favor of it, or if you're not in favor of it? It's too early.
This is a big deal.
Okay, well, I'm being told to go on to the next question, so you, sir.
first of all, thank you for coming, Mel, and it's nice seeing you again. Let's fast forward. There's a lot of ifs here, and I understand. Let's fast forward to 2030. The hot button for our community, of course, is water. Now, it's 2030, everything has gone pristine. Who are you going to get the water from? Because it's not the county, it's not BLM. My understanding is that you're actually the Bright Line, which is Colorado River water. So is it DOR, and is it even available?
Yeah, we haven't gone anywhere far enough down that road for me to be able to answer that. Because one of the things that we were kicking around was maybe trying to get Freeport to sell us some of their Planet water. But it's all just preliminary talk. A lot of that would depend on where we're going to site the actual project in phase 1, because you don't want to be too far from your water. So, but too early to be able to say that. There was a man back here waving his hat. Oh, okay, all right. Yes, ma'am.
So we've got 4 or 5 years. What, if anything, is going to be happening in between there? Will there be machinery testing, employees, the start of the build of the plant? Is there anything projected right now in that timeline that we can be aware of at this point?
Yeah, the only thing that would be taking place, like this year, for instance, we had 2 of our geologists come down, and they brought with them a instrument called the XRF, and it's basically a kind of radiography gun, and they were able to point it at the rocks and sort of give us some estimates on the grade. We're collating all of those. Those would be used to build a drill program. So the most activity that would take place would be, we'd probably do a few more drill holes to see where we can find this mineralization. Because as I mentioned, here it's very fragmented. So we have to literally chase it around by drilling different holes. But that is, a very small drill rig, comes into site, hangs around for a couple days, and goes away. But that would be the extent of it for the immediate future. Yes, you've been waiting patiently.
Digging a bad spot.
How many road closures and trail closures do we have involved in this whole deal? I mean, is Johnson Road gonna be closed down? Is it, are we gonna have a lot of trail closures in this area? Cause that's the economy of this town.
Yeah, I would probably say, and again, that's a pure guesstimate on my part, because 5 years is a long way to look ahead. But based on experience, I would say that you gotta keep in mind that it starts small, and so there would not be a lot of impact unless it becomes a much bigger project. And that's the imponderable, because if we start it, it's gonna be small. And it would just be a matter of a few trucks, it wouldn't require road closures. But if it's a great deposit, the Department of Defense wants all the scandium, then it could grow. But I don't know that.
So it could eventually
Absolutely.
Not necessarily, because the nice thing about this kind of mining is, we can move the path temporarily. We don't have to deny complete access for people on their four-wheelers and stuff. So we might need to shift the path for a while, but it doesn't mean we have to close it all off, no. We'd have a secure zone where we're having that small mine.
Where's it
And
at?
then when we move that strip, we can open that zone again. So this kind of mining provides a lot more flexibility on land use. That's one of the advantages.
Will that actually happen, or are we gonna be dealing with BLM?
It's, BLM has to decide to permit the activity. So yes,
Even if it quits doing any mining in this area, it could be closed down for years to come.
that I don't know. That I don't know.
We had a company up in Idaho move into our hometown, and they offered us the same thing you're talking about. They come in and they sweet talked us, they told us all about the good things you're gonna do. They come in and started spending a few $1 million, $100 million. They brought in, a lot of different people around our town that started giving them supplies and whatnot. They started selling stocks, the stocks market started going up, they kept going, they spent $500 million on this plant. They get a couple of $1 billion in stocks, took out bankruptcy, left town, they're a foreign company. All the stockholders are without money, the town is sitting up there with a big plant that does nothing. The city gives them the land, the railroad put in tracks, and we're all holding an empty bag. How do you guarantee us this won't happen here?
Number one, every industry has its crooks. Number two, I'm not a crook. So number three, if I'm still with this project, that shit won't happen. That's how I can give you a guarantee.
Well, it sure happened to us up there.
Yeah, well, as I say, crooks exist in every industry.
We had contractors with hundreds of millions of dollars, they didn't get paid.
Oh yeah, I've seen it all around the world, absolutely.
Once the mining starts, is there any thoughts about what the transportation corridors will be to move that product from the facility to wherever it's gonna go?
Joshua?
There you go, what he said. I, however, was going to say, we love the railroad. And we love that there's that sort of excess terminal right here that was super, super close. So that certainly is part of our thinking in terms of how we're gonna get it out of the area.
Rail spur out to the facility?
Yeah.
And you could also go from Salome.
And you know what? That's all part of the conversations that happen once we actually get to that magical day when we're ready to do something, when we get some money. I know I saw another, there we go.
Thank you for being here and answering the questions. Would you say that you're in the exploratory stage right now, and how long does that part last?
We are definitely an exploration company, and it lasts until we get the money to develop. So we know what we've got in Wyoming, for instance. If we can raise the capital next year in the market, because it's not going to come from the government, we accept that now, then we would start development probably in 2025. So it's another year, maybe year and a half, before in Wyoming we would start any development. For La Paz, we're definitely in exploration stage, which is why I was telling this lady here that all you would see is a couple of little drill holes for a while, because that's what exploration companies do. Try to define what they've got and make sure it's worth continuing with the investment.
So you have the BLM leases right now?
No,
You have leases
no.
where you're drilling? I mean,
We haven't reached that stage yet. What we have is the BLM knows that we are on the land. BLM gives us drilling permits. We wouldn't apply for the actual development leases until we have the money, and we're going to file for approvals to actually begin to construct something.
How,
So I kind of two-part question, kind of covers a lot of this. You don't kind of go down this road without some idea of the scope of it. Do you have a kind of white paper or something on the scope? You said you're gonna start small, maybe get bigger, but you must have some generalized idea about the impact to the community and out there, or the riding areas. You're not doing this hoping that it's a giant thing with no knowledge. That's what all the drilling's about. And then the second question is, do you have any history of, you said you're an exploration company, do you have any history of starting something and you'll get through all the hurdles, get all that, get it established, make it worth something, and then pass it on to a bigger mining company that has all those hurdles already crossed, and now we have some giant mining company coming down and expand the whole project bigger than your company said?
I'll answer your second question first. Yes. The Australians, who are the principal owners of this company, are the ones who built a company called Cobalt Blue in Australia, which you can find that online. It's a genuine company, and they have had success with that. As a matter of fact, they sold Cobalt Blue to find the money to put into working in America. So that's the answer to part two. Part one, no, we don't have a scoping study or a white paper or anything of that sort yet for La Paz, because we're concentrating on making that happen in Halleck Creek first.
Okay.
You had your hand up, didn't you?
I was just wondering, when you start the process with the BLM, are you gonna alert us? Are we gonna be in the mix of
Yes.
knowing the steps?
Yes. Let me just repeat the question. So the question is that when we actually get to that wonderful day that we're going to be applying to the BLM to build something, will this community be alerted to that and involved in it? And the answer is yes. Before we go to the BLM, we will be doing community consultations. And you clearly are the key community because you're right here. You're closer than Deuce is down there in Parker. You're closer than anybody else. That makes you the number one priority community.
Thank you.
I'm sure, because I know for myself, I have like 3 pages of questions, but that just seemed inappropriate. We'd be here all night. So where can we direct those questions to maybe get them answered in the meantime?
Yeah, Deuce has my email, absolutely. You can email me. Yeah.
I'm sure you'll get that to everybody, Deuce.
Yes, ma'am.
Red badges.
different community than what I'm used to. I'm from Idaho, and this place is beautiful, and it's primitive, and it's wild, and it's full of heart, and I hate to see that go away because of mining. So that was just my thought.
Okay, let me answer some of those concerns.
Can you
Already
restate
to-
it?
Oh, so her question was that she appreciates the wild and beautiful nature that is here surrounding Bouse. And so she's concerned about the possible effects from building a mine that would include, the equipment, the pollution from the equipment that would be used in the mine, the concern for the environmental surroundings for the animals, because there are some that live under the ground, there are migratory birds, etc., and also the chemicals that could be used in processing. So her question to the community is that really what the community really wants to have happen? So as far as the equipment goes, already today, mines are shifting to all electric vehicles. And therefore, there is a lot less of that particular kind of pollution than there has been in the past. And certainly that is our particular vision, is to be partnering with particularly Caterpillar, that has retooled its fleet substantially to include almost complete electrification, as well as, I will say, a lot of AI, so that machines can operate by themselves. I'm a little uncertain about that, but that's just me. Secondly, in terms of the environment and the indigenous sites and heritage sites, that is exactly what the environmental impact study process is about. The company is required by law to cooperate with experts. So I mentioned, for instance, in Wyoming, we're working with the University of Wyoming. So we haven't got to the stage of thinking about who would be the partners down here. But before the BLM will even begin to consider a proposal, you have to come to them with a comprehensive land map. And that land map is going to identify where the ground squirrels live, the water areas where the migratory birds land, and what months are they present. It identifies things like, are there seasonal salamanders? It has to look at all of these things. It looks at, is there any kind of historic site? Was this, for instance, once a road area through which American people went to California? All of those things are taken into consideration. Consultation with the indigenous communities is facilitated by the federal government, and they bring forth evidence that there is or is not indigenous sacred lands involved. So all of those concerns are dealt with in the EIS process. And coming back to the previous question, those documents all become a matter of public record that can be reviewed at the BLM site. Chemicals. Our company is actually working together with the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense on research for bio-leaching. What that means is that there's two consortiums of universities in America. One is headed by the University of Kentucky, one is headed by the University of Virginia. Both of those are looking at using this CRISPR technology to engineer bacteria or enzymes to be injected into the process mix and identify those precious neodymium and praseodymium components, drop them down, ready to be processed finally. So a lot less dirty in that regard as well. Now, is there still some sulfuric acid in that mix? Of course there is, because these rocks have to be crushed and ground and put into a solution that is amenable to further processing. If, and it's always with research a huge if this amoeba-based technology is proven to be viable, then we wouldn't have that sulfuric acid, because obviously that would kill bacteria. So we're pinning a lot of hope on that, but it's nothing but hope at the moment. So in 5, 6 years, I don't know, we might have that amoeba-based stuff working, and then that would address a lot of that concern as well. Yes, sir.
Okay, so the pilot plant that you had been initially thinking about putting here in La Paz, you're now going to try this new technique instead at Halleck Creek first.
Let me be really clear. We can't test the biological stuff yet because the universities are still working on it.
Right, it's still.
But yes, it will be in Wyoming.
Yeah, you're supposed to have demonstrable bench results by the end of next year.
That's what they tell us.
And then you're looking at about 2 to 2.5 years until you're prepared with a processing plant to utilize these genetically engineered bacteria and genetically engineered enzymes.
Right.
I would assume they're going to do research, because with rare earths, you have thorium and uranium, which
Actually-
are radioactive, which I know is low
Thank
here.
you for reminding me of that. Yes, very low in both La
Very
Paz and Holly
low
Creek.
in both,
Yeah.
but it is still there.
Mhm.
So you have radiation, you also have all the toxic minerals that are prevalent with rare earths. And that's actually the big problem in China, okay? So you're gonna have
Well, it's a big problem in China because China is also separating and processing those materials.
Right.
We, and right now, as far as I know, not even empty materials is planning to do that. So they would remain segregated in the tailings. They would not be subject to process.
They would not be subject to processing. So
As-
you're not
as of knowing
refining
right
the
now.
toxic and the radioactive along with everything else.
Well, the radioactive stuff, if it's below the standard set by the National Regulatory Authority, it does not require any special processing and can be redeposited with the tailings. If it is above that horizon number,
right,
then the company has to get a special permit from the NRA. You have to have special secured storage facilities, which are subject to routine inspection every quarter.
Now,
But that would not be for Holly Creek or La Paz, because in neither deposit do those numbers aggregate above the NRA zone.
do you continue testing for the thorium and uranium during the mining portion of it?
Oh yeah, absolutely, because as you're processing the materials,
Right.
you need to make sure that they're not aggregating
Right.
to pass the NRA levels. Yeah, absolutely, it's tested at every phase.
Okay, and here, what we have that they don't have in Wyoming is the scandium, which
Yes.
is used to make aluminum harder, right?
That's one of its primary uses, there are others.
Right. But we have more of an abundance of that than they do in Wyoming.
Yes, it's
But
negligible
otherwise,
in Wyoming.
Wyoming is looking at 5 to 6 times the grade of what we have here.
Right.
Ours is considered a low-grade ore.
Yep.
Widely dispersed.
Yep.
Whereas that is all, it's
Clumped
deep.
together in higher grade.
You have massive amounts of tonnage up there.
1.46 billion tons.
And that's only in your first JORG report.
Yep.
And there's going to be more coming out.
And it covers 25% of our concession area. Yeah, no, it's.
I've done my research.
I already knew that because I was watching you nodding as I was talking, so I already knew that. Yes, sir.
You mentioned artificial intelligence. How many employees are you gonna have?
No way of knowing at the moment, but I can tell you that certain skills are always going to be needed because even when, like you take Rio Tinto, for example. Rio is operating what is called the world's first and so far only fully automated mine. That fully automated mine is employing several hundred people sitting in Perth at their computer terminals, monitoring the activities of all of the dump trucks, of all of the haul trucks, of all of the diggers. Now, you still have human beings in, continuing with the Rio example, you still have human beings setting the blasting caps. You still have human beings on site that are monitoring the actual levels that go through the processing plant.
You figure you'll have in the first 6 months
I'm not going to give you a guess because, again, it comes down to what technologies we're going to be able to employ, which means how soon are we going to be starting. And I'm not going to speculate because that's what gets people in trouble, right? If I say 100 and it turns out to be 50, everybody will say, see, she's a big liar. I'm not going to give you a number that would only be a guess.
So you mentioned that you are looking for investors because you need the money to get this rolling. So have they already started to do presentations to get investors? Is there something online that you have,
At our
presentation?
website. Yeah, our investor presentation is online at our website.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have, can you give us that website?
Yep, www.american.
Write that down? Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, he's already got it.
Okay. Can you share with me, please? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's where he got all that nice information.
Oh, she wants it, I'm sorry.
There and also Investor Coffee. That was a great interview.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good
Would you repeat
organization.
that website for this young lady?
www.americanrare.com.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
How many square miles will this facility encompass? Once built out or mining, is that at 100% Madison?
don't know, because it's gonna depend on the distribution of the rocks. We may not need half of what we currently think we need. So, don't know. It's gonna, we go where the rocks take us.
Just one more
I'm
question.
not stopping, it looked like it was winding down.
A lot of people probably know where this is. Where is this place that you're doing?
There's a sign on the road that says, museum, right there by that big.
Hey gang, can we hang on just for a second? I know the conversations are
And
starting,
then
but she's
there's a
answering
neighborhood
somebody's
behind
question.
it. And we follow that road until it turns into sagebrush. That's where we're at.
Is it past Swansea or is it past?
Yes,
It's past Swansea.
it's way, way out.
It's not quite there. It's not the Swansea.
It's the Lincoln Ranch,
You're welcome.
before Lincoln Ranch, all the way to Lincoln Ranch.
I hope you'll all help me in recognizing and thanking Mel for being here. She didn't have to do this, she was willing to do it. I think she's been very straight with us. My rationale for inviting her here was, again, the rumor mill was kicking up and I was hearing a lot of different things. I think the most important thing for people to understand, I appreciate everybody's concerns at this moment, but as you heard, this process is at the very, very infant stages, and it will move to a place where there will be, by law, there will be a process where the public will have the opportunity to comment, protest it, be against it, whatever. We're just not there yet. People get mad when they don't think like the county's doing something about something. We're just a little early, like maybe could be 3 years, could be 6 years, maybe 10 years. We don't know what the future holds. As she just explained, they had a lot of things happen this last year that they didn't expect. So none of us know. But it's not that we're not paying attention, we're just not there yet. The heliogen, there was a lot of concern raised about that. I understand that when the drilling rig showed up. I don't know if you've heard, but they pulled their application for a major change to the comprehensive plan. I don't know that is going to go forward. They did the test wells. I don't think they had good results on the water that they were hoping for, and our Department of Water Resources has labeled that aquifer, Venegas Plains, as a severely depleted aquifer, which is going to be very difficult for them to justify pumping that kind of water out for hydrogen. So, but what I shared, I think it was Harley that reached out to me a while back on that one. And what I shared with him was, and I like analogies, I hope you follow what I'm getting at here, but I've watched a lot of high school football games in my day, and you can sit there and watch a young man out there on the field kicking 30, 40, 50 yards in a high school football field, but he's doing it pregame when there's no defense, nobody's coming at him. And how many points is each one of those kicks worth? 0. They don't count until the game starts. And in many of these cases, for us to go out there and start trying to kick the field goal before the game has started, we're not going to get anywhere. I'm not ignoring any of this. We're paying attention to it. And that's why I asked Mel to come out, though. I wanted you guys to hear it directly from them so you would know what was going on. So, I know everybody was really here to hear Harley, but I'm glad you stayed to hear Mel. Thank you.
The question of the size of the La Paz site out here is 7,500 acres.
Before I adjourn this, I am gonna next month try to get Bob Kelly to come in and talk, and then in February I'm gonna try to get the BLM so we can hammer them out and tell them we don't want this BS happening in our area. That's my opinion. I'll keep it to myself. Adjourn. Thank you for coming.